Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. The Middle East is on the edge once again. Iran has just issued one of its most serious warnings in years, declaring that any military strike by the United States or Israel will be met with what it calls massive and unstoppable retaliation. As global leaders scramble to prevent a wider regional war, the message from Tehran is crystal clear. Iran is ready for confrontation, if provoked. Reports coming out of Tehran this morning confirmed that Iran's Revolutionary Guard Command issued a new statement through state media, warning that any attack on Iranian soil or military assets will lead to, quote, a full-scale regional response that no enemy will be able to contain. This declaration follows growing tensions over alleged Israeli air operations near Iranian borders and U.S. surveillance flights across the Persian Gulf. Iran's foreign ministry has described these actions as provocations and said that patience is wearing thin. The warning came directly from Major General Hossein Salami, the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard. He stated that Iran's response to any aggression would be beyond proportional, swift, decisive, and destructive. He emphasized that Iran has the capability and the will to strike every aggressor, wherever they are. This bold statement was broadcast across Iranian state TV and quickly echoed by media outlets across the Middle East. Within hours, the Pentagon confirmed that U.S. and Israeli forces in the region had been placed on higher alert. Washington officials described the situation as equally tense, but added that they have no immediate plans for offensive operations. However, Israel's defense ministry has remained silent, a silence that many experts see as a sign that military options are indeed on the table. This new escalation comes after weeks of rising hostilities between Israel and Iranian-backed forces in Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. Israeli airstrikes on Iranian-linked targets in Damascus and southern Lebanon have killed several Iranian officers, prompting Tehran to vow revenge. Meanwhile, the United States has increased its military presence in the region, deploying additional warships, fighter jets, and air defense systems to the Persian Gulf. The U.S. says these moves are defensive, meant to deter any Iranian attempt to attack American interests or allies. But from Iran's perspective, these deployments are signs of aggression and possibly preparation for a coordinated strike. Iran's threat of massive retaliation is not just rhetoric. The country possesses one of the largest missile arsenals in the Middle East, including long-range ballistic missiles capable of reaching Israel and U.S. bases across the region. Among these are the Khorramshahr Sagil and Feta hypersonic missiles, which Iran claims can evade most modern defense systems, including Israel's Iron Dome and the U.S. Patriot and Aegis systems. Tehran has also warned that it could activate allied militias across the region, including Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and various groups in Iraq and Syria, effectively opening multiple fronts against Israel and U.S. forces. Iranian officials have called this strategy the Ring of Fire. If activated, it would mean simultaneous attacks on Israel's northern and southern borders, as well as strikes against U.S. bases in Iraq, Syria, and the Gulf. The White House, while calling for calm, has reaffirmed America's ironclad commitment to Israel's security. President Biden, in a brief statement, said the U.S. will respond decisively to any attack on American personnel or allies. Russia and China have both urged restraint, warning that a war between Iran and Israel could destabilize global energy supplies and push oil prices to record highs. European diplomats have echoed similar concerns, describing the region as a powder keg waiting for a spark. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has convened an emergency meeting of the Security Cabinet. Although Israeli officials haven't commented publicly, insiders suggest that Israel is reviewing military contingencies in case Iran follows through on its threats. According to satellite imagery and defense intelligence shared with international media, Iran has placed several missile brigades on high readiness status. Some have been relocated closer to the western border, near Iraq, and others toward the southern coast along the Persian Gulf. Additionally, the Revolutionary Guard Navy has reportedly increased patrols in the Strait of Hormuz, a critical waterway through which nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes. This move has alarmed shipping companies and oil markets alike. Energy prices jumped to nearly 4% following the reports, reflecting fears of a blockade or military confrontation in the Gulf. Inside Israel, the situation is equally tense. The IDF Israel Defense Forces has placed air defense systems on full alert across the country. Reserve units have been called up for readiness training, and anti-missile systems are now positioned near major cities like Tel Aviv and Haifa. Israeli intelligence officials say they're closely monitoring Iranian troop movements and communications, suggesting that Iran's warning might be a prelude to actual action. One senior Israeli officer told Channel 12 News anonymously, "Iran is not bluffing this time. They've drawn a red line, and they seem ready to enforce it." At the heart of this crisis lies a deeper geopolitical struggle. Iran's warning isn't just about deterrence. It's about power and perception. Tehran wants to signal to both Washington and Jerusalem that it cannot be bullied or isolated, especially after years of sanctions and covert attacks on its nuclear and military programs. Israel, on the other hand, views Iran's growing military reach and nuclear ambitions as an existential threat. The US is caught in the middle, trying to contain Iran's influence without being dragged into a full-scale regional war. If any miscalculation occurs, a stray missile, a drone misidentified, or an intercepted communication, it could trigger a chain reaction leading to a direct clash between the two sides. Defense analysts around the world warn that the situation is more volatile than ever. Some believe Iran's message is primarily meant for deterrence, a way to prevent Israel from launching another series of covert strikes. Others, however, fear that both sides have already crossed too many red lines, and the next move might not be diplomatic. Middle East expert Dr. Richard Wolff said in an interview, "Iran is trying to show strength without starting a war. But in this region, strength often looks like aggression. One wrong interpretation could change everything overnight." Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, reinforced the warning during a televised address. He said, "If the Zionist regime or its American backers dare to attack our homeland, they will receive a response that will shake their foundations. Every inch of occupied Palestine and every American base in the region is within our reach." Crowds in Tehran were seen chanting slogans in support of the military, with large posters of ballistic missiles displayed in the streets, a sign that Iran is rallying national unity. Behind this message, diplomatic efforts are underway behind the scenes. Qatar and Oman, both countries with ties to Iran and the West, are reportedly mediating to reduce tensions. But with both Israel and Iran standing firm, the window for de-escalation appears to be closing. Military experts warn that if Israel carries out another strike inside Syria or against Iranian assets, Tehran may no longer limit its response to indirect retaliation. A direct missile exchange, even limited, could push the entire region into conflict. The world watches anxiously, waiting to see if words turn into war. The stakes could not be higher. One wrong move could ignite the most dangerous confrontation the Middle East has seen in decades. Iran's warning of massive retaliation may be a bluff, or it could be the opening statement of a new chapter in regional warfare. Only time will tell whether diplomacy can prevail over destruction. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.